Welcome to a special Friday night edition of the Agenda Report. I'm Robert Zimmerman Jr. in Washington. Let's get started. On deck for today, Comey's leaking problem, and America bids farewell to Barbara Bush. But first, just yesterday, on episode 3 of this program, we addressed the danger of law enforcement agencies cowering to the demands of race-baiting fake news narratives by apologizing to criminal suspects when no apology is due. Our institutions must not succumb to pressure from fake news, race distortion, or the consequences will continue to get deadlier. The Philadelphia Police Commissioner's inappropriate apology to the Starbucks suspects who were lawfully and ethically processed by his officers was nothing more than fodder for the fake news media's assault on the lives of men and women in blue who serve and protect us every day. Also yesterday, immediately following the publication of this program, the fake news media's mantra of cops are killers claimed 2 more innocent lives. Sheriff's deputies in Florida were murdered in cold blood while they sat eating lunch at a restaurant. They were ambushed and gunned down through the window by a coward in broad daylight. When Gilchrist County Sheriff Bobby Shultz addressed the media, he said the fallen heroes were the best of the best. He described them as God-fearing men who he was honored to work with. He rightfully continued by blasting the media for their recklessness, right to their faces. But you'd never know it from watching the fake news broadcasts. I'll now quote the sheriff. What do you think happens when you demonize law enforcement to the extent that it's been demonized? Every type of hate, every type of put down you can think of. The only thing these men were guilty of is wanting to protect you and me. They just wanted to get something to eat, and they just wanted to do their job. Fight Fake News USA TV wanted to answer the sheriff's question, so we took a look at the numbers. What does happen as a result of the media's race distortions demonizing law enforcement with impunity? In 2016, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund noted a spike in officers shot and killed with a handgun not seen since 1978. They cite a number of unprecedented ambush-style attacks on law enforcement officers as responsible for the spike. Last year, 46 officers were killed in the line of duty by intentional discharge of a firearm. And so far this year, and it's only April 20th, the number sits at a staggering 19 deaths caused by gunfire. As of today, and largely thanks to cowards like Philadelphia Police Commissioner Richard Ross issuing an apology for his officers' lawful actions, that number has now, and I'm truly disappointed to report this, risen to 21. Commissioner Ross, when you ran your fellow brothers and sisters in blue under the bus by issuing that apology to those suspects, you cited your messaging as being a problem. What do you think of your messaging today? Do you know the names of the deputies murdered yesterday? Noel Ramirez and Taylor Lindsay. Heroes and undeserving of their fate. How does your apology to those who thumb their nose at the law and flaunt their lawlessness with newfound celebrity make you feel today? Do you feel like you should apologize to anyone else, or maybe just cut right to the chase and resign so the work of policing is left to real men and women who have a pair, and you can work for Starbucks as their new chief apology officer? On to the latest fake news freakout in Washington, D.C. James Comey has a leaking problem, and he needs to stop talking and call a plumber. Late last night, the memos Comey began writing to document his encounters with the president were released to Congress, and moments later, leaked to the media. Although Stevie Wonder could see that the memos exonerate the president of obstruction and collusion and clearly indicate Comey may have unlawfully disclosed classified information by forwarding the memos to his friend, the fake news media scrambled to fire up the spin machine in an attempt to rebrand the memos as some kind of look into the mindset of President Trump. Reminder, Trump's mindset is fake news speak for Trump's legitimacy. Comey's defenders say the information was classified after the fact. Duh. That's exactly why Leaky Comey calls them personal recollections. They just happen to contain information that only he in his position could have disclosed. And as director of the FBI knew or should have known, said memos should, and probably would, once properly scrutinized, be classified. Question, what do liars do? Answer, tell people that they aren't who you suspect them to be in a futile attempt to conceal their true identity. Comey says he actually said to the president, I don't do sneaky things, I don't leak, I don't do weasel moves. Okay, Mr. Comey, and I don't distrust the FBI. I don't think you're a corrupt individual, and I don't think you dragged the entire reputation of federal law enforcement through the mud to cash in on your corruption. Call a plumber, Jim, and in the meantime, stop digging. And finally to Texas, where Barbara Bush will lay in repose for the public to pay their final respects at a church today in Houston. A bittersweet surprise awaited the hundreds who made their way to the former First Lady's casket this morning. President Bush 41 was and is by his bride's side, even now, to personally greet those who came to mourn his sweetheart. The ailing former commander-in-chief raised his shaky hands to meet the hands of every single person who came to see Barbara. Marriage vows, till death do you part, it's what they say, but something far more precious and magical was on display today.